Today we have an expert who's been in the game for the longest. So I hope you will listen to her and we get to understand what does it mean when a woman goes through a mental breakdown. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me and congratulations for the initiative. It's absolutely amazing what you're doing, and I wish there will be many more like you, because bringing information, it's the first step to having actually a healthy life.
Thank you very much for being here. And we have so many questions here, and we would love for you to clarify to pregnant women who are going through the same situations and they do not know where to begin with it. Can you kindly introduce yourself to them? Who you are, how long have you been doing this, and what exactly do you do?
I'm Chantale Françoise. I'm a clinical psychologist and trauma specialist. I have been doing this for, just like she said, for the longest, even though I'm not that old. I've been practicing for about 20 years in the mental health field. I took a break from practicing on one-on-one basis while I was pregnant, and now I'm doing all of my sessions online because I need to be very flexible with my time. So basically what I'm doing is trying to find within the client or patient their own strength to navigate through whatever life brings in their way. And sometimes life is full of surprises.
Especially when you're pregnant, you do not know what to expect. So many flow of emotions and everything is new and you have to adjust to it accordingly. It can be a little bit challenging. And so I am so excited personally because I also want to know more about the mental well-being of a pregnant woman. I would like to be part of making their life easier. So let's start up with what the most common emotional and psychological changes women experience during pregnancy.
Well, here there are different categories. So let's, for the sake of conversation, stick to planned pregnancy. In a couple, let's assume that is the first pregnancy. One of the most common emotions we see in pregnant women, it's the anxiety, especially in the first trimester, when we all know that a lot of pregnancy terminate. So the fact that everything it's so fragile and not knowing how things will move on brings a wave of so much pressure and anxiety. Sometimes the pressure doesn't come from within. Not sometimes, in 99.99% of the cases, the pressure comes from outside. And from the moment the close ones find out that the person is pregnant, she's being treated like she's having a disease, not a natural thing. So you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that.
How can you feel safe in such an environment? You don't even know what to believe, you don't know what not to believe. So imagine what you're going through and the environment is not making it easy.
In the beginning of pregnancy, we have all of these. Unfortunately, some of the women experience these amazing symptoms with throwing up constantly, sleep deprivation, and that makes it worse. How can you understand what is going on with you when you're constantly throwing up, when you cannot sleep? Even a person that is not pregnant going through this kind of symptoms, it's changing everything, and it doesn't make you happy and oh my God, what a wonderful thing is happening to me.
So you feel like you've been attacked in your own body?
Actually, the body, this is how the body understands the fertilized egg, like a foreign subject, and literally they are the immune system, let's call it the soldiers that are going to remove everything that is bad and it's not natural for the body. It's actually trying to attack the fertilized egg because it's perceived as a foreign body. It's a lot to take in for the body. A second thing that it's happening, and it's kind of common, unfortunately, it's starting second trimester, the low self-esteem of the mother because the physical changes. And even though you're happy for the miracle that you're carrying, nothing fits, seeing that my leg that was a quarter of what is happening with me, I'm inflating and I'm feeling bloated. And all of these physical changes creates that incredible low self-esteem. On top of this, anxiety that doesn't leave the mother at all. Some stories that stick with the mother, because when you're in a slight distress, you don't pick good things, you're picking only the negative. Or anyway, the negative things are sticking easier with you. So you're imagining that screaming and yelling and that unbearable pain, and there are so many things that can happen. And this fear, there is actually a phobia called tocophobia, which is this paralyzing fear of anything that it's related with pregnancy and with birth. We see it very often when it comes to persons that have been sexually abused, even as kids, not understanding why do I have this extreme fear of giving birth or of pregnancy. It's a result of a sexual. It's also happening to the women that experienced birth before, but it was a traumatic experience. And like anything that was extremely bad, obviously you don't wanna repeat it. So coming towards the end of the pregnancy, it's again the external factors that help the mother experience this extreme anxiety, plus the depression that sometimes creeps in without even understanding and knowing, because everything kind of changes and a lot of questions that are being unanswered are there. Will I be able to do it? Will my life will be the same? And
so many questions that do not have the answer at that particular time. You mentioned a very important point here that I was not aware of. I did not know that past trauma can actually play a very crucial role in your pregnancy as well.
There is something that we say in psychology and psychiatry. What the mind expresses, the body always express. So whatever you don't want to deal with, either emotion, especially a traumatic experience, and especially a traumatic experience that took place before you were a pre-teenager. When we are smaller than 6 years old, our mind, in order to protect us, creates all of this. It's like cocoons to help the child deal with a traumatic event. The adults don't know how to deal with trauma, but for a child, the experience is so traumatic that oftentimes it's something called dissociation. So you're not part of the trauma as, for example, as the trauma is happening. And I'm referring again to the sexual abuses.
I know that you haven't mentioned this, but I believe also domestic violence can lead to
absolutely and
a lot of mental breakdown during pregnancy.
And the traumatic experience and how the mind creates these cocoons. Domestic violence, especially when a female is pregnant, because I noticed this in Africa especially, because she's becoming so dependent on, husband, boyfriend, and so on, starting with the fear of what if he leaves me, what my family, my friends, and whatever would say. What if he leaves me and I have no means of support, or even if I have means of support, I will not be able to have the proper life for me and for my kid. What if he leaves me and nobody will want me again because I will be a mother with a child? And so this induced psychological trauma that the pregnant woman experiences is tremendous. And because of that, the abuse that the partners inflict, I can go and do whatever because she will be there. She's pregnant. Where would she go? What would she do? These women deserve a special place in heaven, and it should be so many things that are supposed to be done to help them, because they are staying in a extremely traumatic and toxic relationship just because they are pregnant. So the vulnerability of a pregnant woman, especially in East African country, is tremendous.
Sadly it is, and now a pregnant woman has to live with it, the fear of the unknown. And I believe that is what gives them anxiety, knowing that I don't know where. Am I safe in my house? Not really. Am I safe with my community? Not really. Am I safe with my friends? And most of the times, friends are the people that let us down, because they will not give you that support that you need at that particular time. So where do mothers go when they need support?
There's another horrific thing, like they're being taught that this is a normality. Your mother went through this, your grandmother went through this. So normalizing such a horrible behavior, making it normal, normalizing just because it happens so often, that becomes a normality.
Which is not okay.
That is horrible.
It is. And I feel like many African countries, we have accepted that kind of life.
That's normal. It's part of a family life. That's not how.
It's not how things should be done.
That's not how things should be done.
And hopefully after this podcast, many people will watch and will understand how delicate a pregnant woman is, and how mental health and emotional well-being of a pregnant woman is very important to all of us. If you have a sister who is pregnant, a mother, a friend, anybody whom you know, and you can play a part on making their life easier, as they already have a lot going on in their bodies and in their minds. If you can ease their mind for a little bit so they can know that I have a safe space somewhere other than my head, I think that will be a very terrific thing to do. Thank you very much for explaining into length about that.
With what is happening with a baby. So these cocoons, very plastic cold cocoons, are actually some things that are called defense mechanisms. And it's something that the mind creates to protect the child or whomever it's actually facing the trauma. It's so hard to understand it and incorporate it, then we have to create some barriers. Even if something horrible is happening to me, my mind is protected because it's like I'm not here. Or even immediately after something traumatic happened, I'm blocking it. Again, very plastic, sad, engraved in our DNA. And when we are most vulnerable, everything that was not dealt with will explode. Exactly.
What are the self-care practices that can help maintain emotional balance during pregnancy?
Well, everything that is absolutely free. If you never meditate, you cannot, especially in such a vulnerable moment of your life and such a special moment of your life, learning to meditate, the extremely difficult breathing techniques, it's not realistic, and it's adding on something that you're already having a lot to deal with. Taking short walks. The sun, it's one of the best friends. Not staying in the sun for too long.
Maybe the morning sun.
8, 10, it will be perfect.
But not in dark, because in dark 8 is already too sunny.
If you're taking short walks, then it helps. Hydrating yourself, eating correctly, it's extremely important, and it's important to do this not only when you're pregnant. It's very important to create this habit.
Yeah, the habit.
Exactly. Until pregnancy, you're eating wrong. Okay, if you've never eaten broccoli and avocado, you can not start.
When you're pregnant,
Exactly.
absolutely.
But you can change a little bit. Instead of eating something that is fried, you can eat the same food but in a different
way.
Exactly. Trying to read or watch, there are so many ways of getting the information right now. Reading or listening to podcasts or reading books about what exactly is going on with your body, understanding what is going on, because unfortunately from the outside you're going to receive those informations that it's my experience. I'm going to tell you my experience. And if my experience is going to be traumatic with pregnancy, then I'm transmitting you all of these informations through my own eyes. So you cannot choose for yourself. Trying to learn as much as possible. If you are a person that doesn't read that much, that's okay. There are so many podcasts exactly. Information, it's always, from the very beginning, information, it's always the one that saves a lot.
But unfortunately, we are at a time where people take in so much from the wrong places. Like I would say, okay, that's also another thing. There's so many sources of information to a point where you do not know which one to take, which one not to take. But I always tell people, like, you yourself should have a little bit of knowledge of who you truly are as a person, and that will help to recognize the little details that add up to what you're going through during pregnancy, so that you do not listen or you do not take in everything that somebody tells you.
This it's an experience that it's highly subjective. It will happen A, B, C, D in this order to everyone. So you're the one knowing yourself better than anyone
else.
So you know what works for you. You know what makes you happy. You know what is good for you. You cannot, okay, for this lady, she stays in her head and prays 20 times a day, and that works for her. Very good. This one, it's playing music. It works very well for. So choosing what works for you is the key. As if you're doing something that you like it, but it's not helping you a lot with whatever you're going through in your pregnancy, that's just a waste of time and adding an extra stressor of a very vulnerable period in your life.
It's true. I saw somewhere in the internet, somebody said, if you are not ready for change, do not become a parent. And now I understand it, because when you look at it in a bigger picture, you believe that, what if I'm not ready to leave the world, things that I'm used to, and now I want to become a mother? Is it fair for the child? Is the child going to get the support that they truly need growing up? Is their upbringing going to be enough? So sometimes we make decisions out of selfishness. We do not think of the outcome and how is it going to affect the children that we are going to have. So I think also, before we think of mental health, we should think about self-awareness. And so it all begins from self-awareness. So carrying on, how can pregnant women differentiate between normal hormonal mood shifts and signs of prenatal depression or anxiety? I think this you can explain in a experience point of view, because you're a mother. I'm sure you've had your own experiences.
I am one of those people that considers also I have a baby, I have a child, but I also have, thank you, I also have 4 animals, and I consider them also my babies.
Well, taking care of
I'm that kind of person. No, it's not. It's a task on its own. Yeah, I will definitely share my experience that it's a little bit different from the normal pregnancy, let's call it like that, not because I'm special. Usually normal, if we are talking about menstrual cycles, indeed we have that moodiness, but it's more like waking up on the wrong side of the pillow, and this irritability subsudes throughout the day. It's not this extreme mood shifts. Now I'm laughing, after that I'm crying without knowing why. I'm in a same sentence, I'm beginning the sentence sad and continuing laughing, and vice versa. This extreme mood swings, and usually the anxiety and depression comes from the unbalance of hormonal imbalance, that we are creating a new life. Plus, like I said in the beginning of the pregnancy, there are some women that experience the nausea and the sleepless nights. It's a huge factor. Plus the fact that if the woman suffers from any conditions, starting with pregnancy, everything has to change, including the medication. So it's this cluster of changes and emotions that differs from the normal PMS syndrome, if we are talking about that. And even though it's so widespread, this PMS syndrome, in there it's actually a medical condition, because these shifts should not be there. A slight discomfort when you're on our period or right before your period, it's normal. But when it's that extreme pain, that extreme,
but since when you're pregnant, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, talking about depression and anxiety during pregnancy, as I mentioned prior, most of the time it's due to the environment, most of the time. Or the magnitude of the symptoms increases due to the environment. When you're already worried and you hear around you walked like this, so you might, I don't know, your baby will be born like this or like this or like this.
As I said earlier, there are so many taboos.
So On a scared person, you don't start saying that, okay, you're scared of a mouse, that's okay, the lion will come, and so on. It's pretty much the same thing. Instead of, I'm trying to talk as plastic and as visual as possible, so I can make myself understood, even by the persons that are not fully aware of all the terms. And so it's like, I'm so scared of this mouse, and I know that I have to live with this mouse here, and I have all of these persons that are coming around me, and they're threatening me with snakes, with everything that is scary. Yes. So at one point I will deal with the fact that there's a mouse there. Right. I will accept it. But when you're bombarded by everything that is external, that's, from my point of view, that's one of the major factors. Plus everything that was unresolved prior to the person becoming pregnant, because a lot of us get into a pregnancy with a lot of unresolved baggage. Not to mention these persons that are becoming pregnant just because they will change their social status, or they will keep a partner close, or all of these completely wrong reasons. Now, coming back to my experience with pregnancy, I have a 4-year-old daughter. She will be 4 on 28. So yeah.
Happy early birthday, baby.
Thank you. She's my everything. I had a completely unusual experience with pregnancy. Let me start a little bit earlier. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome. I was preparing for an appendectomy, and because of that, they were doing some ultrasound in a pelvic area. So that's how it was discovered. For me, it was not necessarily a health issue, because the only visible symptom that I had, it was very irregular periods. Even starting from then, the doctor prescribed me birth control pills, because it's basically, it was about, of course, the balance of the sexual hormones. So throughout my life, I was either on birth control pills or not. The only symptom that I was lucky enough to have on this syndrome, it was the very irregular periods.
Can pregnancy lead to an identity crisis or sense of loss of self, and how can women navigate that?
Navigate is the correct word into this situation. Yes, definitely can lead to an identity crisis, because everything changes. You will never be the same person again, and that's not in a bad way. So there's a lot of questions that women ask themselves. Will I ever look the same? Will I ever be able to go back to work? Who am I going to be, because I was this one? So I don't know now exactly, is this going to make me happy? Is this? So it's extremely scary. It's like, plastic speaking, it's like that frighten when you are, or that pressure when you are going to school to learn how to read. It's something that transforms you. When you start learning how to read, you're the same person, but never, it's not, you're the same, but not quite.
But different levels.
Exactly. So an identity crisis definitely happens, of course, with different intensities. When it's becoming an issue, it definitely transforms into mental health problem, because it can be so dissociated and overwhelming that the woman becomes like,
know how to compose herself.
Definitely, yeah.
Pregnant women go through a lot. People, we have to understand that. Now that I'm listening to this, hearing this conversation that we are having, I'm actually giving women more grace than what I usually give.
They definitely,
because they deserve all the care in the world. Like, do not put your attention into anything else other than a pregnant woman, please. We beg you. If you have any pregnant person close to you, make sure you pay attention to them. Give them that support for that short period of time. Then you're going to go back to your normal life, even if it does not make sense to you at that time. But if it makes sense to them, then do it. It wouldn't cost you a dime to do the right thing for pregnant women. Let's all try. I know it's not easy. I know you say, oh, I have a lot of things, I don't have time to do this and that. But we all come back to, we all started from mothers. So yeah, at least that's the least we can give them. if we cannot give them the best hospitals, the least we can give is an emotional and moral support. So let's do that. If you are in a position to play your part right, then do the right thing.
That doesn't cost literally anything, and it makes the biggest of a difference.
Absolutely. So let's be better.
Usually it doesn't give advices, but I will, as a learning how to communicate plays a crucial role, because oftentimes a woman and a man assumes that the partner understands her or his needs, because I know what he wants, so I'm assuming that he knows what I want. And if I'm upset, I'm assuming that he knows why. So without actually verbalizing, my needs are this, and this is how we can make things better. Just assuming that the other one knows, it's from the start a huge mistake. We are not mind readers, and even though there are partners that stayed in the same relationship for a long time, you don't know exactly what the other thinks. So learning how to express your needs and your emotion can save you from a lot of if you are expressing your needs and still you're in a exactly, then unfortunately, you cannot force somebody to give you what you need. You're the only one knowing and give you what you need. And there are some patterns that we keep repeating. I think it will be another topic of conversation. There are some patterns of behaviors that keeps bringing us to the same place, to the same negative emotion, and we stay in a place where we know that it's not okay for us. We know that it's destructive, but because it's such a familiar emotion, and our mind needs familiarity. We need to be in a place that the mind knows. So even if that emotion is so negative and we are feeling misunderstood and mistreated, we are staying there because that's how the normality works for us.
That's what you are used to. So you don't know anything else. That's Absolutely. What you know.
Exactly. So understanding your needs and understanding that the strength that you have, it's so overwhelmed by the amount of mistreatment. Whomever you can be, it's covered by you're not good enough, you're nothing without him, you can never succeed, and all of this cluster of things that are meant to, when you hear this, you just need to run. Literally, you just need to run.
You need to take care of yourself. So it all begins with you as a mother. Becoming a mother, give yourself time. Exactly. I know it's a lot to take in, but it's important. I mean, don't think way too far, but think of how you can handle that part, the most crucial
Absolutely.
part of you being pregnant and after giving birth, because that is the most destructive and demeaning part of being a woman. And so if you cannot stand firm and strong enough and fight for your well-being, nobody else can. We are here to help you if only you can help yourself. And that begins with you telling us out loud that my pregnancy, I'm going through this and this and this and this. And so I do not
without
require
shame, without
yes,
stigma, without
absolutely
all of these negative emotions that are
say
just
it out loud. Let them know. Even if they will not understand, just stand on your word and make sure that you take care of yourself. It all begins with you.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, Chantale, for giving us your time on our show. It was really a sensitive topic. I personally had these ideas flowing in my head as we were speaking, and I kept on thinking and reminiscing on the journey of being a mother. And honestly, it's not easy.
It is not.
And we have to understand that women require our time more than anybody in the world. And I believe that we have shined a light on few or more things that are very important during pregnancy, and they're going to help a pregnant woman and the person who is around them. And
yes.
So before we close up, do you have anything to tell to everybody who is watching regarding what we've talked about?
Yes, in case there are other questions, or in case you're going through a sensitive situation and you need help, you will have my number at the bottom of the video. And because we all know that therapy it's extremely expensive, but for the persons that are going through distress, I'm here in case you need help. And you can ask me literally everything, and it's very important to know that everything that I'm going to be asked, it's strictly between me and the person that asks, because confidentiality, it's a huge concern, especially when it comes to these online things. So let aside the shame and do something that is for your own good.
Thank you so much for giving space to pregnant women
Anytime,
to express
anytime.
themselves, because that's what we are all about at the Pregnancy Suite, to make sure pregnant women are as comfortable as possible in any way we can. And that's why we are trying to retrieve information from everywhere we can to make sure that we bring awareness to pregnant women and showing them that somebody out there cares about them. And we'll not stop today or tomorrow taking care of you. We'll continue. This is an ongoing project of making sure a pregnant woman is well taken care of. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Thank you very much for everyone who took their time to listen to us, and I really hope that the information that we have given in this episode will help any mother who is able to get this information. It's very important, even if you know somebody who is pregnant that does not have access to this information given in this episode, make sure you bring it to them. It can help them. It can build the life that they need during pregnancy. Please pay attention to pregnant women. They really need your support now more than ever. And if you have so many questions that you do not have answers to, we'll put the number of the experts that we had discussions with, and you can approach her anytime. You can contact her and tell her what you're going through during your pregnancy, and she will help you. It's completely free. Imagine you get all the insights of having a healthy pregnancy for free. Please reach out to her and ask her as many questions as you can. She's a safe space, as you can see that herself, she's a mother, and she has had a couple of encounters during her time as a pregnant woman, and I believe that she can help you so much to have the safest pregnancy until you deliver. Thank you so much for listening to us, and if you want to reach us quickly, below is our number, which is 0742-630909. Stay tuned for more and more episodes coming right up with the experts who deal with women. Bye.